I am Anna Seewald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about growing ourselves while raising our children. I'm a psychologist, educator, and parent coach. And on this podcast, I explore how you can connect to your authentic self, practice radical self-care, and raise emotionally healthy children. Let's break the cycle of generational trauma for a more peaceful, kind, and compassionate world. Today, small moves, big life, finding balance, energy, and joy. Do you ever feel like you're just getting through the day, checking boxes, juggling endless tasks, yet somehow going to bed wondering what you actually accomplished? In today's episode, we're talking about breaking free from that survival mode and rediscovering purpose, energy, and joy in everyday life. My guest, Andrea Rogers, knows the struggle firsthand. She's a wellness entrepreneur, celebrity trainer, and the creator of the groundbreaking fitness sensation, Xtend, a creative combination of traditional Pilates, ballet, and cardio that has inspired millions around the world. Her lifelong love of movement began with dance, leading to a career as a professional choreographer and principal dancer for Walt Disney World, before she became a master Pilates trainer and developed her own innovative fusion of core dance and Pilates fundamentals. Andrea's work has been featured in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle, and she's appeared on NBC, ABC, and CNN. She's also a mom. She lives in Texas with her 2 daughters and a dog. In her new book, Small Moves, Big Life, Andrea invites women to shift from overwhelm to alignment, not by doing more, but by simplifying and taking small, meaningful steps that create lasting change. In our conversation, we explore the power of just doing the thing, JOT, and how small moves build momentum and confidence, how mom guilt undermines joy, and what it really takes to cultivate peace and self-compassion, why motivation follows action, not the other way around, and how to simplify your routines, fitness, mindset, even social media, so you can live with more presence and ease. Andrea also shares her FEEL framework, a simple but powerful guide to choosing workouts and habits that are fun, effective, efficient, and built for longevity. If you've been craving a life that feels lighter, calmer, and more aligned with what truly matters, this episode will inspire you to start small and create big change. So take a deep breath, drop your to-do list for a few minutes, and join us as we explore how to do less but live more. Please enjoy, and thank you for listening. Andrea, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I know, likewise. So you talk about finding balance in motherhood, banishing mom guilt, and you are all about small things that lead to big changes. So how did you get there? Did you yourself struggle in the beginning of motherhood? How did this book idea come about?
Well, the book idea came about because I had found myself providing guidance and motivation and advice to a lot of my friends, coworkers, and then all of my clients and members across all the Xtend Barre studios and through my online platforms. And I started to hear the same kind of concerns and questions and challenges across the board, whether it was someone, who was 20 years old in Boca Raton, Florida, or a woman in her 50s in Shanghai. Everyone's kind of had the same kind of thing, right? Everyone's feeling like they're just getting through the day, right? And just getting through life as opposed to really feeling determined, energetic, purpose-driven, and passionate about what their days look like. And so I started to give, little tips here and there of the things that I leaned on when I was going through a really challenging time in my life. And I found to be incredibly helpful. And so I started to, share this through just word of mouth, and I shared it in presentations, then workshops, then retreats. And then I said, you know what, I need to put this in a book. I need this to be something tangible that people can, put on their bedside and fold the corners and highlight and underline and just go to when they need that source of inspiration or accountability or just support.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about the Extend bar? I'm really interested in bar.
Oh, I love that. Yes. So Extend Bar was created in 2008, and I was a professional dancer for many years. And then I segued my love for movement into a career as a Pilates instructor. And it was through Pilates that I discovered how I missed the element of choreography and bigger movement. I was a huge fan of Pilates, but I really wanted to marry my dance background with what I had learned now from the Pilates principles. So I combined the two things that I loved most, and I created a workout program, and it really resonated. People were connecting to the workout, they were connecting to the results, and becoming incredibly addicted to the workout. And it grew from there. We started in a small studio in South Florida, and then we went from, just that studio to a license model domestically, and then we started to grow abroad, and then we moved into a franchise model. Now we're primarily digital. COVID wiped out the majority of our brick and mortar business, sadly, but we are now focused on online. So we are accessible to so many people, and it's been wonderful to see how many people have connected to this program and have, yielded incredible results from doing the workouts.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. I didn't know about that. I love that you talk about radical simplification, which is a complete antidote to this crazy hustle culture. So talk to me about how can we simplify radical simplification as moms. It seems like in this ever getting fast-paced and busy world, we need that more and more, but it's kind of hard.
It's very difficult. I think we are constantly trying to, as I mentioned before, get through our days as opposed to take control of our days. We simply go from one task to the task and check the box. And then at the end of the day, you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and you feel like you really haven't made a dent in the things that matter to you the most, that make you feel productive, that make you feel joy, that make you feel like you're making a difference in the world. And so this concept I call do the thing came out of my need to just simplify my life at a time that felt like everything was swirling. I had just gone through a divorce. I had moved my daughters and I to New York City. I was struggling with the business as I was expanding, and it was just a time that I felt like everything was moving very quick and fast, and I couldn't keep up with it. I remember sitting in my apartment in New York City being surrounded by boxes, and the list of to-dos was never ending. And I said, all right, let's just rip this list up. I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I need to figure out how to feel good at the end of the day. When I put my head on the pillow at night, I want to feel like I did something that mattered. And so I just said, let's just do 3 things. Today, you're going to do 3 things, Andrea, that make you feel good at the end of the day. And, that's just kind of how it started. Just do the thing that you're going to know is going to move the needle as opposed to just crossing or ticking off a box. And so with time, I started to see real progress happen. I felt like I wasn't so overwhelmed. I didn't keep adding to my to-do list until I achieved what I did that day. And actually, it was non-negotiable. I was going to get it done. There was no arguments. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was like, if I wrote it down, that was happening. It was getting done that day. And knowing that, and then simplifying that list made it achievable and it made it sustainable. And that's how things kind of started to just grow in both my business and my personal life, because I felt like I finally had taken control.
Mm-hmm. I know many people make to-do lists, but it's like endless, right? It's never an ending process. It's like laundry. You are never free of dirty laundry. So have a similar philosophy. I do the most important thing. It could be 3 things or 1 thing. I have to definitely get it done. And then the rest is optional. If I have time, I tackle those things and I feel great. And I also make a, done list. When I am done, I make a list of things that I have done during the day, because then you also sometimes forget how much you do during the day.
It's so true. And you should feel accomplished, right? My gosh, we're like superheroes some days. I love that concept. I think that's great.
Sometimes I make a list of the things that I've done. I think Gretchen Rubin calls the to-do list. Like there's the to right? There's the to-do list and the to-do, but I like the concept of, and I impart this to my teenager too, do the thing, do the most important, do the thing. Like once you're done the big thing that weighs heavily on you, then you are free. You can actually, room opens up and you start doing more.
Isn't that true? And sometimes, like sometimes it can be a very big thing that you're putting off or a phone call that you don't want to make. But other times it's something simple like cleaning out that drawer that every time you open it, it gives you anxiety, right? And then you finally do it. You finally do the thing. And then you open that drawer and you're like, wow, atta girl, like you did it. That feels good. And you feel that sense of accomplishment, and that little sense of pride over something simple really adds up, like you said. And it gives you the room and the space to be able to say, okay, I did that. Now what's next?
Yeah, and it gives you momentum, right? Once you do something little, you sort of start picking up momentum. That's what it's all about, because sometimes the hardest part is just starting. But when you start and you do something, then you are in the groove. You keep going. But what have you learned about motivation?
Well, just as you mentioned, motivation isn't the first step. It's not what motivates you to put on your, fitness outfit and get moving, or to press play on your workout, or go to the gym, or eat that healthy meal, or to start the project. Motivation doesn't just show up. You have to create habit, and you have to create it by simplifying what you're doing, making it more accessible. So if you're not someone that likes to work out, instead of thinking you have to buy a gym membership, drive a car, do an hour, 2 hour aggressive workout, just do 10 minutes at home. Just go for a walk. Figure out ways to simplify the challenges in your life and the things that you know you need to get done. And that allows you to have more accessibility, and it allows you to create habit. And then once you are consistent with that, right, whatever that is for you, you start to feel better. You start to feel the results from doing the thing consistently every day. And that then leads to motivation, right? If you're someone who doesn't like to work out or move their body, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, it's been 2 weeks and I'm moving my body every day, just 10 minutes a day. But now I'm that person that does it. I'm that person that feels good. I have more energy. I'm making healthier choices in my kitchen. I'm starting to do other things that are making me feel good. It all, as you said, builds momentum. And the goal is to take away the fear, the anxiety, the overwhelm, that feeling that you have to overhaul everything, and just simplify it and just say, okay, what small move can I do today that is going to help me move the needle?
Yeah, I mean, I oftentimes find that if there's a project I'm procrastinating, or something that I know I can do, but I don't know where to start, it's a little overwhelming. Your brain doesn't know how to do it. I find that simplifying, what is the first step you can do towards that thing? And then what is the next step? So I trained myself to go about that way. Instead of taking this big task and feeling overwhelmed, I do the first small action towards it. Sometimes it leads to more actions. Sometimes it gets resolved right from the first step. But it's so liberating, because the weight of feeling this heavy, even just what to make for dinner, right?
Yes, it's so true.
It's so heavy. Sometimes it colors your entire day, that weight you carry. But the moment you have planned what you're going to make for dinner, it's not like cooking is hard. Just thinking about what you're going to make for dinner is harder than the actual cooking.
It's very true. And just making that first step is action. Like even thinking about planning is taking that first step, So it's just doing, like you said, just simplifying it and making it happen.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about mom guilt. How has mom guilt become a hidden barrier to productivity? And what steps do you recommend to break free from it? I feel like a lot of moms feel guilty, right? Motherhood comes with guilt, whether you do the thing or you don't do the thing.
It's so true.
You always feel guilty about something in motherhood. So
yes, because you always feel like you're not adding up, right? Like it's not enough. It's never enough. So, the first thing I always say is that we need to recognize that the expectations that we've put on ourselves as mothers is, quite frankly, ridiculous. Like we are supposed to be everything to everyone at every time and every moment. And yet you're supposed to sacrifice your own, individual needs to do so. And it ends up just becoming this cycle of never enough, never enough, never enough. So the first thing I say is let's cut through the BS and realize that you are not meant to be all for everyone. And you are allowed to take care of yourself, and you should take care of yourself. And also, when those moments arise that you start to feel like you haven't done what you need to do, or you aren't, doing the best that you can do, and you feel like you should be doing better, I always say, stop and remind yourself, just like you do on your list, right, Anna? Just like you said, look at my list. Like, sometimes we need to zoom out and realize how great our efforts are and how much we are doing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So lower your expectations in terms of having to be that perfect person that you see online who has it all and does it all and looks the part, and just realize what serves you best. And when you put your head on the pillow at night, do you feel like you are doing the best that you could do? And every day is going to be a little different. Some days you might be a rock star as a mom and might not be so great in work. And the other days you're going to flop. Balance is about showing up in your present moment the best way you can. And it doesn't mean that everything is balanced in your life, that you're always 50-50 in every department or equal parts in everything that you do. It's really about zooming out and understanding, I made the effort, I'm doing the best that I can do, giving yourself a little grace, right, to make the mistakes. And then something I always say is, when you do make a mistake or something isn't going right, just give yourself a little grace, but also don't let it sink into your soul. Like, don't let it sit with you and fester and turn into something much bigger than it is. It's like, okay, that happened, move on. Do better the next time. Do the next right thing.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a lot easier said than done. As you might know, a lot of people ruminate and they feel guilty. They feel like they're damaging their kids. They feel like they are a bad mom. Like, this is very, very common among parents. Am I doing the right thing? Especially moms, I think, that they question themselves.
Oh, yes, we are emotional. We are emotional beings. We carry the load, right? Like, we overthink. Like you said, we ruminate, we overthink, we like love to get into the weeds, right? And to get into the nitty gritty in terms of our thoughts and fears and worries. And sometimes you just got to take some breaths and just stop the clutter in the head and just stop and say, do you love your kids? Yes. Are you doing the best you can at the moment with the circumstances you have? Yes. Could you do a little bit better? Great. Identify those areas in which you could elevate what you're doing. And then, as I always say, give yourself grace, because why do we expect perfection of ourselves? But if this was your best friend, what would you say to her? Right? You wouldn't be like, you're a failure. You're a terrible mother. You should stop, like, give up. You would start to recognize all the things that she does great and what she does very well and what you admire and, the skills that she brings to the table that are valuable and beneficial. You wouldn't sit down and write a list of all the crappy things she does, right? So I'd say treat yourself the same way. Give yourself a little moment to recognize the things that you do well, and then figure out how you can bridge that gap to feel better at the end of the day about that guilt, and really dissect what that guilt is from. Because is it realistic? Is your expectation realistic of yourself, of what you should be asking yourself?
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to work with me? I offer one-on-one parent coaching and have had the privilege of helping many of my podcast listeners over the years. In addition to private coaching, I also provide court-ordered parenting classes and co-parenting counseling available to anyone, anywhere. Visit authenticparenting.com to learn more about how we can work together to achieve your parenting goals. And as a podcast listener, you will receive 10% off all coaching packages. I think giving yourself grace is the biggest tool in parenting, and also celebrating what you have done well or what's going well. Because oftentimes, like, we don't pay attention, we forget, the brain doesn't really pay attention to what we are doing great. It's like sort of given, right? You don't even pay attention. You focus on what's going wrong. And so I think making it a practice every night or during the day, sit down with a cup of tea, maybe even journal about it, give yourself some credit for. Oftentimes, like, I ask my clients, name 5 things that you're doing for your children that make you an amazing mom. Oftentimes people are struggling. They have a hard time coming up with like 5 things, but that should be like your daily practice.
I love that. I think that's a very powerful tool. Yeah. You should. Yeah. If you asked your friend, I did this experiment actually at one of my retreats. I had everybody stand up and we started to do a warm up from one of my workouts. And as we were doing the warm up, I said, okay, I want you at the top of your lungs to scream out everything that you love about your favorite person. Like think of one person in your life that you love, and I want you to yell, ready, set, go. And they were like supportive, loving, kind, funny, blah. And the room was like up in arms with yelling and roaring, like all these beautiful things are being said. And I was like, okay, stop, take a break. All right, stretch your legs. We're going to go back in. Let's do that warm up again. We're going to warm up. I'm like, okay, ready. On the count of three, you're going to scream everything at the top of your lungs that you love about yourself. Go. The room was quiet. Nobody said a word. And then slowly people were quietly like, oh, punctual, or, I'm kind, a good friend, a good mother, like quiet. Like we were so shy of our success and so shy of our wins and recognizing those wins and being verbose and sharing them proudly with our peers, and it was a very interesting lesson. And I had no idea what to expect. I didn't realize it would be so, different from the first time. And it was like, we are so easily engaged to say, this person's amazing. They do these amazing things. But when we ask of ourselves, it's like, especially mothers in the mother category, it's always about what we could be doing better.
Yeah, I bet if you had asked them, like, what you don't like about yourself, it would have been as loud as the first one.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Sadly, like, I'm sure people would say, my body, my weight, my hair, my skin. Like, there's so much. We pay so much attention to negative things about us,
to shortcomings. Yeah.
instead of the wins. But I think it's, we have to normalize this and make it a practice, especially in motherhood. We have to acknowledge our strengths, our wins, even if they are small compared to other people's. Yes.
And that's the problem. What you just said is exactly what the problem is, that we are constantly comparing our small wins to other people that we're seeing on social media's massive, unattainable, unrealistic wins. You got to cut that out. Like, you got to stop. If you see that you're on social media and you feel really bad afterwards, stop. Like, you have to get off, give yourself a break. Also, get real. Like, look around your world, like your friends, your neighbors, those are the people that you need to be, looking at in terms of your network and your direct community for that support. And you don't need to go online and then compare your life to something or someone else, because you're always going to feel like you're falling short, no matter what, right?
You already feel like you're not good enough, you're not lovable, you are not worthy, right? You already feel like that. I feel like most people feel like that. And the moment you add the social media, it's like amplifies what you already believe about yourself. And it's like this toxic thing. I mean, I've been off of Instagram for 2 years now.
You.
And I have no regrets and I have no desire to go back on it. Honestly, it's like my life is so much better. Like, why would I was following so many things, people, and it was inspiring, right?
Sure, there's some great things.
For sure, right? Like, I was following art things, music, musicians, or comedians that I loved, that I was following inspirational things about personal development, or my colleagues, or, workout things, or recipes that I never made.
Sure. You and me both. Yeah.
So it could be a nice thing, but then it just snowballs and you're in it and it's terrible. So what is your experience with social media? I'm sure you have a large following, right? And so how do you use it and what is your experience as a mom?
Yes, I try to be very intentional with my usage. When I started to notice myself at night grabbing my phone, and then it would be 30 minutes later and I was still scrolling and accomplished nothing but just mindless activity. And I didn't do it for that long, but I was like, this has to stop. I should have been sleeping for the last half an hour. So making that effort to get your phone out of your bedroom, right? Another thing that I talk about in the book is getting my phone and social media away when you're eating breakfast, the first meal of the day. Like, sit down and allow yourself to be bored. So for me, social media has been exactly what you said. There's some beautiful positives. I have made the most incredible friendships through Instagram and through Facebook. I have a Facebook group page that I have 25,000 women that are part of. And we are like, I don't know, we're like old family friends. It's like an amazing group. And we're constantly connecting and talking and doing webinars. And it has been the most encouraging and supportive experience I've had with a group of women like that, and hosting retreats and connecting with these individuals. So I've had a very positive experience because I've tried to stay away from the garbage. I've tried to set my algorithm to look at the things that I really want to look at, the traveling, the connecting on the fitness and wellness side of things. And I'm trying very, very hard to not allow myself to go down the rabbit hole of just mindlessly scrolling. I give myself some time to, I just moved to a new house, so I'm looking at house decor and items like that. And I enjoy that, but I try not to go too far into it. And the best part is enjoying conversations with people that I wouldn't have otherwise met. Women that reach out to me and say, hey, your program changed my life. Thank you. And then we get into that story of what happened and what their story is. That's why I do what I do. So I love that side of it.
My Facebook group is about the Extend Bar, about the workouts.
I have an Extend Bar Facebook group page, and then I have a Facebook group page for the book, Small Moves, Big Life, because with the book, I also launched 10-minute workouts. So if you purchase the book, whether you pre-order it or order it at the time of launch, you get access to the workouts for free. So I filmed all these workouts. All you do is submit your receipt. It's all on the website and you get access to the workouts. So if you're someone who's like, I want to work out, but I just am too intimidated, or I've never been that person that works out every day, this is your sign. Do it. Start with me. You've got an encouraging group. We've got a Facebook group that is holding everyone accountable and supportive, and it's just so encouraging. So yeah, I wanted to create these groups so that people felt like they had somebody to do this with and they weren't in it alone.
And the workouts are the bar exercises? Tell us.
No, the workouts are just, you don't need any props. They're just center floor work. They're full body workouts. They're resistance and strength training workouts, which we all need as women, especially as we're aging. And they are super effective, girl. I'm telling you, in 10 minutes, you're going to feel like you did an hour workout. You will be shaking and quivering. You're like, oh my God, how is this only 10 minutes? We make it very effective, very efficient. And you can add light hand weights. You could add ankle weights to amp it up, but it's just resistance and strength training moves, toning, sculpting, a lot of focus on posture, balance, alignment. So at the end of the workout, you feel like you really got something out of it.
That's nice. And we'll put that in the show notes. Tell us about your framework, the FEEL framework.
Yes. Yeah. So that the FEEL framework it segues perfectly from what we were just discussing with these workouts. In order to stay consistent, right, with your movement, you really need to find something that works for you. Like if your best friend is a CrossFitter and you're like, oh, wow, she loves it. She's had great results. She's toned up. She's strong. She loves her workouts. Her mindset's better. She's lost weight. And then you go take that class and you hate it. You're not going to stick with it, right? You're just not going to stick with it, even if everybody tells you that's what you should be doing. So the FEEL framework is an opportunity to really lean into what is going to provide you with the most sustainable workout, right? So number one, you have to focus on finding a workout that's fun, that you actually enjoy. Just make sure it's fun. It's something that you like, because even the workouts that you like, you're not always going to like to do them. So out of the gate, find something that you like. And then secondly, you want to make sure that it is efficient, right? So you want it to be fast, it's efficient. You're going to get that workout in and you are going to feel like, I just said, like, oh my God, that was only 10 minutes. That was really great. So fast, enjoyable, and then effective. You got to make sure that you're doing workouts that are going to actually make a difference. Just going to the gym and jumping on a machine while you're on Instagram and you're like, oh, I just did an hour workout, but yet you leave and you didn't really accomplish much at all. You have to make sure you're getting the most bang out of your buck. Like every rep should count. Every move should matter. And that means showing up full out, giving your full out effort every single time you show up. And then lastly, focusing on longevity of the workout. How long can you do this type of workout? If it's something that's incredibly jarring on your joints and ligaments and you're just killing your body, right? Like maybe you love to run, but your knees are killing you, your hips are killing you, like you just can't do it anymore. You have to be honest with that as well. Like, is this something that I can do long term, right? So I can have longevity in the workout and create that long-term sustainability and consistent effort.
What kinds of workouts do you do personally?
So I do Pilates and barre. Those are my go-to every single day workouts. I do a lot of my Small Moves, Big Life workouts now every day with the community. It's been incredible. And then I go to a studio locally here in Dallas to take Pilates reformer classes. So that has been my go-to. That's what I love to do. That's what feels good on my body. I always try new workouts. It's my industry, so I'm always going to jump into something new and try new things. That's part of my job. But I've realized what I like and what I really like to do, and also what feels good on my body. There's workouts that I thought I should be doing. I go to do them and I injure myself. And I've got great body awareness. I know what to do. I know my form. I know my technique. And I still am like, oh, this doesn't feel good for my body. So I make those decisions to stick with bar, stick with Pilates. And that is what I love. I love strength training and resistance training. And I love to walk. So I'm a big walker. I enjoy walking. I think walking is one of the most underrated forms of exercise. So I highly encourage everybody to get out and walk and maybe not even bring your phone or not even listen to music. Just allow yourself to think and be a little bored during the walk.
Yeah, I mean, there's walking and walking, right? Like if you're just strolling, that's not exercise. That's like nice movement, in nature or in fresh air. But I think it has to be a little, they say zone two cardio. Like if you want to consider that a workout, it has to be a little rigorous than the normal like la la I'm walking and another thing like I noticed that besides like what you described like someone goes to the gym, they use like different machines, they are not targeted, they don't know what they're doing, and they're spending on social media, maybe like look up an exercise. I see that a lot,
Yeah.
and they don't see results, but they spend the time. And another thing I noticed is like a person goes to the gym for 40 minutes and they do no other movement, no walk throughout the day. So I think that's another myth, right? Like movement means you have to move your body throughout the day.
You bet.
You have to be active. You have to take the stairs. You have to park your car far and walk. Movement has to be consistent to lead to longevity and to be effective.
Absolutely.
If you're sedentary the whole day and you just go to the gym for 1 hour or 40 minutes, like that's nothing.
No, and I mean, yeah, I do something called movement snacks, which is little bite-sized moments of movement throughout my day. So if I'm making something in the microwave and I've got 2 minutes on the microwave, I'm going to do lunges. When I'm brushing my teeth, I always move when I'm brushing my teeth. Like little baby plies, I'm doing little baby kicks, like batmas. I'm like, I'm here for 2 minutes and I might as well do something. So I do that throughout the day. I focus on trying to get that movement in because A, I feel better, B, it gives me more energy, and C, like you said, it adds up. It adds up over time. And then you're that person that thinks like that. You're the person that does not try to get the spot in the front of the parking lot. You're the person that does take the stairs. You're the person that's like, no, I want to move my body. And to your point, if you look at the blue zones, right? We're all familiar with
Yeah,
these, right? Blue
yes,
zones.
yes.
It's not because they're going to the gym for hours a day. Most of these individuals don't even know what a gym is. They are active in their community. They are active in gardening. They're active in involvement within their neighborhood. They're doing things just to your point, every day they're moving their body in a natural, real way. They're reaching down, they're squatting, they're doing these things that create mobility and flexibility and strengthen their body naturally. So as much as you love to go to the gym, that's great. But as we mentioned, just make sure that you're also not just letting that be the one and all and only. Really focus on how you can implement just everyday movement, small, little teeny bite-sized moments. It doesn't have to be a big thing, couple of minutes.
And I agree. When I close the blinds, I have a room in my home. The blind thing is broken, so I have to step up and close manually. And I actually purposefully do not fix it
I
because
love that.
it's like a step up, step down exercise. So when I do that, I do like 30 round, like extra, like I do 3 rounds of step up, step down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like I got a bit of a workout. Or when I'm in the kitchen, like you, I mean, I also do some push-ups on the counter or squats or something like that while I'm waiting for something. And again, when I'm lifting the heavy vacuum up the stairs, down the stairs, like that's movement. You want to be active throughout the day. And if you can't go to the gym, like people say, I'm not a gym person. You don't have to. Like there are things you can do at home just to be active and mobile and have movement in your day to day. And I love the Blue Zone philosophy, and their whole lifestyle is just amazing.
Something to admire.
I know it's on my big bucket list to visit all the blue zones one day.
Yes.
So you talk about turning the day around with just 3 non-negotiable tasks. We already talked about that. What I was going to ask you about is how have perfectionism and multitasking become harmful myths, especially for high achieving women? So talk to me about, have you ever been a perfectionist?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a constant struggle. Honestly, that's something that I work on on a regular basis every day.
How does it show up in your
I
life?
mean, since I was a little girl, I was a dancer. I grew up dancing at the age of 3. I was naturally pretty good at it. And so I worked hard at it and I would win competitions. And it created this cycle of like winning, right? And having to work hard and win and win and win. And I didn't feel that as a child. I didn't feel like I was a perfectionist. I didn't feel, but I just always was somebody that really, I strive for a lot in my life and I try to go after it and I try to do it as best as I can. And I like things to be in a certain place. I like things to feel right. Like I am definitely a type A personality and I always go for perfectionism. However, I started to realize once I started to build my career that is unsustainable. And I knew that I couldn't be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect best friend, the perfect daughter, and also be the perfect CEO and run my business. I just knew that that was not realistic. And so I allowed myself to just kind of throw that myth out the door and think, perfectionism is actually such a deterrent to getting things done and doing things well because oftentimes, you don't stop until it's perfect. And I've developed a mindset now that's like sometimes some things just require good enough. Some things it just needs to be good enough to move the needle or good enough to get done. And other things I want to go for that perfection, but it's not always going to happen. So I think it's recognizing those instances where you just need to let go and realize good enough sometimes is good enough.
Yeah, are you familiar with the concept? I learned this through interviewing a podcast guest. She told me that there is something called excellencism, which is very different than perfectionism. So, excellencism, you strive to do things, quality wise, excellent. You want that excellent.
Yeah, right. High quality.
It's different than perfectionism. Perfectionism can be very anxiety inducing and it's never done, it's never right. You're constantly in this loop. But excellencism is not a bad thing, right? I think it's important to differentiate the two.
I think it's knowing the difference, right?
Yes, it's knowing the difference. Like I'm not a perfectionist for sure, but there are things I have to make sure that I have it's high quality, there are standards. And people sometimes confuse that with perfectionism. They're like, you're a perfectionism. I'm like, no, like I'm okay with making mistakes, sending an email with mistakes, typos, doing the podcast. There is like imperfect things. And actually doing the podcast has helped me be okay with imperfections because that's life, especially human relationships. They are imperfect and messy. So
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that. But when I put out the live event, right, there are things that I am very picky about. There are standards that I want the attendee of my live event to have this five senses experience. So I design specific, and people who work with me, they're like, wow, you're a perfectionist. I'm like, no, this is different.
It is different. I love that definition. And I think that is exactly right. Yeah. And just knowing the difference and not striving to make everything be perfect because it feels good to be perfect. Instead, striving to make things excellent or high quality because that is the level in which you want to operate. Yeah.
The average American spends only 15 minutes a day on self-care. How can women reclaim more time without sacrificing their responsibilities? So, first of all, I think it's worth clarifying, like, what does self-care mean in this context?
Yes. Well, I think self-care means doing something that is not for anybody else, but for yourself, right? Meaning you are taking the time to actually either educate, empower, self-motivate, relax, encourage, whatever it is, doing something that actually is taking care of your own mindset, your body, your overall wellness, yourself. And the reason that I wrote this book is because I wanted these strategies that I have been using for many, many years, my clients have been using for many years and feeling and finding success in. I wanted this to be accessible because it is so doable. It is so doable. These are strategies that add up to 30 minutes or less for your entire day. Your entire day, right? Like we do workouts that are double that. And this is just all of them add up to less than that. So the goal with this is just taking the time to be consistent, finding these small strategies, which I have 7 of them. They are easy to implement, they are easy to execute, and they are incredibly effective when done consistently. With these tools and having this, what I call a toolkit, it allows you to lean into these small moves and really feel like you're starting to feel a change happening in your life. You're starting to make a dent. So it all begins with just focusing on doing the things, going through them, making sure you're consistent with it, and you're going to see you get a big return.
So, could you mention the 7 practices, the 7 daily practices?
Sure, absolutely. So, right out of the gate, which people always ask me, they say, what is the number one thing that you would recommend if you did anything? And I always start with breath. So, breath work is number one. It's not just breathing, it's intentional breath work, right? We want you to focus on how you are breathing. And I go into deep detail in the power behind breath work. It's fascinating. It is like the number one tool. If you could just learn how to breathe effectively, woo, just that alone could like change your entire life, scientifically proven. But it's incredible to see what can happen through breath work. So breath work is number one. Number two, start my day with stretching. I go right into a stretching series. Just as you mentioned, we start moving right out of the gate. Simple 1 to 2 minute stretches. You can even do it while you're doing your breath pattern. So boom, there you are. Next up, you're going to focus on movement. So the 10 minutes of movement a day, right? That's all we need to do. I've got workouts that coordinate to that. So I've got the workouts that are accessible. So no excuses. You've got everything you need to move your body. Then we're going to focus on do the thing, which is the do the thing list. Sitting down, I outline exactly how to do it, give you guidelines to do it, making it super easy and simple. And then we're going to set the table. We're going to sit down and we are going to enjoy our first meal of the day, seated without our phones. And we're going to enjoy all the things that come with that. Improved digestion, posture, alignment, mental focus, and acuity, all these things that we discuss in the book, which is pretty fascinating when you think about it, because something as simple as sitting down and being mindful when you eat it's transformative. Like how many times do you sit down with your phone to eat? Or how many times you sit down by yourself without company? Without your significant other, without your kids, without your partner, and you just sit and eat quietly, right? Do you like it? You just want to distract yourself, right? You always want to have your phone in your hand. And this is allowing us to like just clear out of that and just focus on letting yourself feel bored. I don't know. Do you know Lin-Manuel Miranda? Have you heard of him from Hamilton? You've heard of Hamilton, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, yes, I know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Hamilton is one of the best written Broadway performances ever created. And I read an article a long time ago, and this played into parenting, so it'll work well with your audience. But I learned about how Lin-Manuel Miranda, as a kid, was left home a lot after school, just like working parents, right? Like people that work. And he was saying that boredom was his catalyst to creativity. So like, because he was able to be bored and with his brother and have to like go play, right? My parents used to say, go play. He was able to find that creative sense of himself. And so something as simple as sitting down and eating a meal and allowing yourself to think and ponder and be bored, it's incredible. And the next step, I focus on Mind Up, which is a whole philosophy that is, oh, it's so powerful. It's something that I use with my children on a daily basis. And then lastly, it's breathe it out. So just as we start our day, we're going to end our day with a focused, intentional breath pattern that sets the stage for sleep. I talk about how we show up to a meeting, right? Like if you have a business meeting, it's very important to you. You're going to show up prepared. Yet every night, we know how important sleep is. We know it's like the most essential tool for longevity of health, right? And yet we just are like, oh, let's just sleep. There's no preparation. There's no thought. There's no intention. These simple strategies are going to help you to finally feel like you are setting the stage for a really great night's sleep and helping you to circulate that sleep into a really great day the next.
Talk to me about the 6th tool, the Mind Up.
Yeah, so Mind Up is a philosophy in which essentially you record your voice affirmations and you record it through an app on your phone as a voice recorder, and then you play those back throughout the day. So they're little pockets and moments of reminders and future reminders. You record it as if it already happened. So for example, one of my affirmations used to be, I'm so grateful to be a best-selling author, right? Like, and I picture myself signing the book and seeing the book far before this came to fruition. And so I started to focus on the future self and what I wanted out of that life and started to think of how I felt in those situations and let myself get out of the heaviness of the everyday and focus on the brightness and opportunity in the future. And so that's Mind Up. And it's now something that I use with my kids when they're starting to feel like, they're in a funk or they're complaining or this isn't going right. I'm like, Mind Up. And now I just say those words instead of giving them a long lecture because nobody wants a long lecture. And they kind of know, okay, I get it, Mom, right away. So it's been a powerful tool in our house.
Do they record themselves and have their affirmations?
They don't do that. No, not yet. I've tried. They're not there yet, but they do, they hear me, they watch me, they observe what I'm doing and they see it. And I think it is resonating for sure.
Are they into fitness and Pilates and bar?
They both are cheerleaders, so they're very active. We do our specific exercises at night and we stretch every night together. So yeah. Yes, we're in core development right now. We're trying to get their core strong because they're both flyers and they need that balance. So we're working on core exercises in the evenings together.
And is that true that you worked at Disney?
I did, yes. I was a dancer.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was my first professional dance job. I was 19 years old and got wind of the audition the next day in Toronto, and I was living in Michigan. And so called my dad, and my dad was like, all right, I'm coming home. I'll take you. And my mom was like, let's do it. So we drove like 5.5 hours to Toronto and auditioned the next day and landed the gig, which was amazing. And then I lived on the Disney cruise. So, well, first I lived in Toronto for a few months. That's where we trained and rehearsed. And then from there it was onto the ship. So it was a year-long contract and traveled in the Caribbean and got to meet the most incredibly talented and fascinating individuals and took a year off college. And yeah, it was honestly one of the best years of my youth. I feel like I developed so much as a young woman, as a young adult, creating, these relationships with people from all over the world and developing a stronger sense of self, understanding the workload and effort that it required for me to show up every day and perform and do what I needed to do. And yeah, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share from the book that I didn't ask you about?
No, I think we hit it all. I think we did a great job. That was fun.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you. You are full of energy.
Oh, thank you, Anna. You too. And I'm excited to hear we share a lot of the. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoy the book. I hope you read it, and I feel like you're already doing a lot of the things. So we'll keep doing the things, girl.
I love that.
Thank you. DTT.
Bye.
Bye.
That concludes today's conversation, my dear listener, and I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss future episodes, and take a moment to leave a rating and review. It really helps others find the show. I would love to hear your thoughts and takeaways. Join the conversation in the Authentic Parenting Facebook group or visit the contact page at authenticparenting.com/contact to get in touch. Authentic Parenting is an ad-free show, and your donations is what makes this podcast possible. Support the show by visiting authenticparenting.com/support or becoming a patron at patreon.com. Your contributions make it possible for me to continue bringing you weekly episodes. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. Until next week, I am Anna Seewald. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was edited and produced by Ami Noor. If you need expert support to bring your dream podcast to life, from editing to full production, Ami Noor can help make it happen. You'll find his link in the show notes.